Welcome to Win the Day from Back to the Bible. I'm your coach, Pastor Nat, and today we're going to talk about not missing God's grace. All you had to do was ask. Those are the words that I told my youngest son. You see, he wanted something to eat as a snack, but instead of asking, he was rude and demanding. He wasn't humble. He wasn't in a position to receive his desire because of his demands. He missed out on a little taste of grace simply because of his attitude and of his pride. Now, that's kind of humorous, kind of cute, but when we think about it, we're really not any different than my son. How so? Listen to what James says in James chapter 4, beginning in verse 5. Or do you think it's without reason that the Scripture says, "The Spirit He made to dwell in us envies intensely, but He gives greater grace"? Therefore He says, "God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble." Therefore, submit to God. Resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Verse 5 is said to be one of the most difficult verses to interpret. And the reason is because there's some ambiguity in the Greek text. But I think context will help us, because in verse 4, James called out these Jewish Christians for acting as adulterers in their affair with the world. So it would reason that the Spirit He made to dwell in us envies intensely. Now, some commentators look at that verse and they think that spirit, it refers to our human spirit. But others, and I believe that they are right, this is God's Spirit in us. Because of the issue of pride and desire for the world, the Spirit of God, He's jealous. He's jealous of our worship and of our submission. This makes sense from verse 4 and into verse 6. That's where James says, He gives greater grace. God resists the proud, but gives grace to the humble. God's grace, it is greater for His children. The grace of salvation is unparalleled. But this grace and the grace for His children, it's not offered to the proud or the self-righteous. Okay, so God values a humble spirit and a contrite heart. We get that. And guess what else? When we surrender our pride, we will be in a position of submission to God and Christ's lordship. When we do that, we won't submit to the call of the devil. That's why here's my challenge for you today. Humble yourself before God. Too often, I try to play God. In fact, one time of doing it, it's too much. It's too easy to become jealous of others or hungry for a little unhealthy taste of the culture. That's the battle of the flesh. Well, we know when we make a decision to sin, it never works out well. So today, humble yourself before God. Rejoice because of His grace. His grace is sufficient for you and for me. It's overflowing for us, for His children. But we need to remain humble to receive it well. When we humble ourselves before God, we are ready to be enveloped in His grace. Now that, friend, is what I call winning the day.